77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Tuesday morning, Sid and Friends in the Morning on Trump Day. President Trump will be joining me at about 8:30. The only interview he's going to do today before he heads on this epic trip to China later on tonight. We love the president, so that's a very, very big deal. But I got to tell you, I'm getting sick and tired. Not getting, I'm already sick and tired of waking up in the morning, getting to these studios before 5 a.m., going over the big stories from the night before, and watching these pro-Hamas animals. That's what they are. They're animals walking up and down the streets of Brooklyn or Queens or Manhattan, terrorizing Jewish people. They call it protests. They're not. They're riots. They're aggressive. They're physical. They're violent. There were clashes in the streets of Midwood, Brooklyn last night between these animals and Jewish people. They can do these rallies, you know, in their own neighborhoods, but they choose to do it in front of a synagogue, in front of a yeshiva, just because they know it'll end up, in all likelihood, in fisticuffs. So here we go again. More swastikas in Queens. A big fight last night in front of a synagogue in Midwood, Brooklyn, where I grew up. It's almost every day. So who better to talk to about this, the continued issue with anti-Semitism in the streets of New York, than the man that I call the king of all Jews, the former amazing Assemblyman, and still, I believe, our biggest and best talker, Dov Hikind. Dov, good Tuesday morning, buddy. How are you?
It's good to be with you, and I hear your frustration, and you are absolutely correct.
Oh, my frustration begins with the people in power. You were an Assemblyman for almost 40 years in Borough Park, Brooklyn. You stood for all the right things. When you've got a mayor who is undoubtedly an anti-Semite, he can say what he wants. It doesn't matter. Undoubtedly an anti-Semite. When the guy actually vetoes, you know, a bill from the city council that would protect yeshiva students, when he tries to veto, he couldn't do it because they got the votes, the bill in front of the synagogues, when he's hanging out with people like Nordine and Mahmoud Khalil and his vile, wretched wife, how do we expect the city to respond when the most powerful man in the city, the mayor of this city, Dov Hikind, he hates us?
No question about it. I mean, he is a radical Islamist. It's not only him, his wife, his family, parents. They are the real thing. They hate America. They hate Israel and the Jewish people. And they are a danger to the well-being of America and the Jewish community, no question. Those in the streets, the violence that is taking place, the hate. Hey, you don't have to worry because you got Mamdani as the mayor of the city of New York. And when you get arrested and you get in trouble, nothing happens anyway. There are absolutely no consequences. It starts at the top, Sid, with Mayor Mamdani. He can smile, he can do all of that, but he is one of the most dangerous people in America today. And what's going on in communities like in Brooklyn, where they come into our community, okay? Just imagine if we went into their community, we went into, the local mosque, and we were demonstrating. Can you only imagine what would be going on, the reaction from City Hall? The problem is the mayor. And it is very, very sad what's going on. And the bottom line is, people ask me what needs to be done. Giving all kinds of, we got to do this, we got to condemn. The Jewish community needs to create a Jewish defense type organization. Yeah, it's time for Jews to be trained, to be ready to act when necessary. That's the kind of thing we need to be looking at. The ADL, there's no purpose. Can anyone tell me what the hell the ADL is doing during this time of difficulty? They'll tell us the latest statistics, and that's it. Forget it. It is a waste of time. The money that we could save and allocate for other purposes. I mean, you're talking an organization, $50 million, $100 million. And by the way, many of the other Jewish organizations, the issue of what's going on in New York is not being tackled. And that is the bottom line. There is no approach. There's no, okay, this is the plan. What the hell is the plan? Does anybody, Jews are being physically assaulted. Jews are being attacked. When someone comes over to you and says that Hitler should have finished the job, you effing Jew, you dirty Jew. The implications. People who, a Jew who listens to something like that does not sleep that night or doesn't sleep any night for a long time. For God's sake, this is America.
Listen, I agree with you. I agree. I don't know what happened to those organizations. And I was a kid growing up in Brooklyn a long time ago, Dove. The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, they were taught by, when I was growing up and going to yeshiva, when I went to Solomon Schechter for high school on Church Avenue and East 5th Street by the Prospect Expressway, the JDL, they would walk out in the street. They'd beat the living daylights out of you. These pro-Hamas animals, they would get their asses kicked up and down the streets of Brooklyn and Queens. Now, I'm not necessarily encouraging violence. I'm not sure you are either. Maybe we are. I don't know. But it is at the point now where standing outside and yelling and screaming. I was invited, so were you, Sunday morning to some rally in Queens where they're getting swastikas almost every night. And I said, I can't make it. It's Mother's Day. And I didn't go. I had breakfast with my beautiful wife, Danielle, that day, and we went for a walk. We went to the gym. I'm not going to go out there on Mother's Day and do that, but the point is, another rally. To your point, these rallies just don't work. It is time for the Jews to fight back, and if it means physically, then it means physically. How about that?
And Sid, you're absolutely correct, and it's not about looking for trouble. It's about Jews not being afraid, having pride, Jewish strength. This is what I'm talking about. We need to look at a different approach because whatever the hell we're doing up until now, it is simply not working. And hugging, Jews hugging Mamdani and shaking hands with him. And look, I know he's the mayor. I know you got to deal with him. There's no choice. He is the mayor. But you don't have to hug him. You don't have to smile with him. You don't have to do freaking pictures with him. You don't have to go to Gracie Mansion. You don't have to. Have a little freaking pride. Fellow Jews, come on.
Dov Hikind, this is why he's the king of all Jews, and to be honest, one of my favorite people ever, and I can't wait to see Dov next Tuesday night for his big annual event that he puts on with his beautiful wife, Shani. I can't wait. It's a big deal coming up next Tuesday night for Teret Kohanim. But just getting back to the mayor, you've got Julie Menin. And I've had my difficulties with Julie Menin because not once, Dov Hikind, but twice publicly in local newspapers and in front of other folks, she's called me an Islamophobe. I don't know what that means. I don't care what that means. If that means that I'm afraid of radical Islam, then you're right. I'm an Islamophobe all day, okay? That is a legitimate fear. That's not some crazy phobia. But she's called me that twice, but for what it's worth, I've forgiven her because I do believe in her heart, she's a Jewish lady, that she would like to stop all this and she would stand up to Mamdani in certain instances, especially when it comes to anti-Semitism. How do you feel about the Speaker of the City Council?
I think she's definitely a ray of something good. She's in a tough situation. She's got a city council that is pretty much to the left. But she did become speaker, so I'll give her an opportunity to continue to do good and watch her carefully. But the bottom line is we're playing with fire here, happening in our communities. Sid, it's real. There's pain, there's difficulty. Jews removing yarmulkes, Jews removing anything that identifies them as Jews in New York, beautiful New York, the New York that we grew up and that we love. This is not America, for God's sake. And if the federal government needs to come in because the mayor is not doing his job when it comes to Jew hatred, look, he's against these real estate events that are happening in synagogue. The mayor is against it. It's a green light to the radicals in the street. By the way, the radicals in the street, everybody, you know who they support? They support Islamic Jihad. That's what they are all about. It's not about the Palestinians. It's about supporting the enemies of America. And again, we need to be tough and strong and not play like, let's sit down, let's talk. I'm tired of the talk. I'm tired of the speeches. I've done them. We need a new approach. This is the most dangerous situation for the Jewish community in my lifetime. Okay, Sid?
That's saying a lot. Couple more minutes.
I'm happy my mother is not here.
Yeah.
She was in Auschwitz in 1944. If she would be watching what's going on right now, Jews in fear about the future, I can't even imagine.
The following is a paid issue advertisement.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won. It's not about what party. It's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
Paid for by RealAmerica.vote, a DBA of New York Citizens Audit Civic Fund, Incorporated.
Go to realamerica.vote.